There we go. Thank you very much, everyone. I'd like to welcome members and officers to this Cabinet meeting and also welcome anyone watching online, as well as colleagues who've chosen to join us in person this evening. Please note the meeting is being streamed live on the Council's YouTube channel. And before the meeting starts, I would like to invite the committee member and scrutiny manager to explain how proceedings will work.
Thank you. So I'll start by just conducting a roll call of officers to ensure they can hear us and we can hear them. So just quickly, we've got Jeanette Thompson.
Yes, present. Thank you.
Thank you. Nuranata Katavu.
Present.
Thank you. Ian Cooper.
Yes, present.
Great, thank you. And Anthony Roach.
Yeah, good evening. I'm here.
That's great, thank you. Are there any other officers join us virtually this evening? Nope. Okay, so moving on to the procedural bit. If a member wishes to speak, they should use the speak button located on the microphone unit in front of them. The microphone will light up green and the chair will be alerted of your request to speak. When the chair invites you to speak, your microphone will be made live and will turn red, at which point you can speak. On voting, when requested to vote, voting will be via the yes, no, abstain buttons on your microphone unit. When your vote has been cast, your respective voting button will turn red. Details of how members voted will be shown on the screens around the room and the result will be visible on the YouTube stream. COVID social distancing, members and officers are required to wear masks when standing or moving around the room or the building. Masks can be removed while seated. Exit and entry to the room and the building will be guided by marshals. Are there any questions? No, I will now hand over to the chair, Councillor Dennis Harburg.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so first item on the agenda for today is apologies for absence. I have apologies from councillors Gary Grindle, Sam Collins and Amy Allen. All of their executive members are present. Next item of business is the minutes from the 21st of December 2021. I'd like to propose that we take as read and approve these as a true record of the minutes of the meetings of Cabinet held on the 21st of December 2021. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Lovely, thank you very much. Any comments? No. Can we have the vote, please, James?
Chair, that motion's carried.
Thank you very much. Okay, and next, notification of other business. There's been no other business notified ahead of today, although I think we might have intended something at full council. Never mind. Chair's announcements. In accordance with council policy, this meeting's being audio recorded as well as filmed. The audio recording will be available on the NHDC website and the film recording via the NHDC YouTube channel. Members are reminded that this council has declared a climate emergency. This is a serious decision and means that as this is an emergency, all of us, officers and members, have that in mind as we carry out our various roles and tasks for the benefit of our district. More details are included on the agenda front sheet. Members are reminded to make declarations of interest before an item. The detailed reminder about this and speaking rights is set out under the chair's announcements on the agenda. Item 5, public participation. We have none this evening. Item 6, there's a number of items that have been referred from other committees, which we will be taking with other items on this agenda. I'll quickly run through those. So items 6A and 6B are referrals from overview and scrutiny in respect of a commercial update, and we'll be taking those referrals with item 11, which has a part 2 aspect to it as well. 6C is a referral from the Finance Audit and Risk Committee in respect of revenue budget for 2022 to 2023, and we will take that with item 9. 6D is a referral again from Finance Audit and Risk on the investment strategy, integrated capital and treasury, and we'll take that with item 8. 6E is a referral from overview and scrutiny on the Q2 performance indicators. I was expecting Councillor Levitt to be presenting this, but he's not with us yet, and I'm uncertain whether he will be in attendance this evening. However, I do have a note which says that a response has been provided, both during the course of that particular overview and scrutiny meeting, and also in writing subsequently by officers, which covers off the issue. And Councillor Levitt is satisfied for that response to be conveyed back to the committee. I think that means the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, not Cabinet. So unless Councillor Levitt attends, I'm minded not to take item 6E this evening, given it's been dealt with twice quite thoroughly. So moving on to item 7, that's the Corporate Enforcement Policy Update, which I have a note that I will be presenting. I'm sure colleagues have read the report, and this report is coming to Cabinet this evening as the Council's corporate statement of enforcement policy has been updated, as it is from time to time. The policy was last updated in December 2018, and so it needs to be updated to reflect new legislative and enforcement developments. Paragraph 8.4 of the report covers the areas that have been updated, and the main addition at Appendix H in relation to fraud sanctions and prosecutions. There's been a late revision to the observation periods in relation to parking enforcement, which appears at Appendix F. And Nora and Etta did ping round this afternoon, the additional sort of changes to these reports as well. So they should have been in colleagues' inboxes in time to consider ahead of tonight. The recommendation is to approve the amended policy contained at Appendix A in the supplementary appendix, which has been uploaded to ModGov today. And Appendix B shows all of the track changes as well for those that like to track and see what's switched around in those reports. If there are any questions, I'm happy to assist, and I'm sure Nora and Etta can help us as well. So I'm happy to propose this. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Any questions from anyone? No. Okay, in that case, please may we have the vote, James?
Chair, that motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now, shall I do the same as I did last month? No, I won't. I'll be nice. Can I move to item 8 and ask Ian Albert to present the investment strategy, integrated capital and treasury report. But being mindful that we've also got the referral from finance audit and risk in with this item, please, Ian.
Cheers. Thanks, Chair. I mean, probably worth just saying at the start, there weren't sort of specific comments from FAR on this, and there was a question around capitalisation of bin purchases and whether other councils would capitalise more of their purchases, e.g. garden waste bins, where they're had a paid for service. This is being looked into, but overall it's best to err on the side of prudence in relation to assets where there is uncertainty over ownership. The report sets out the capital proposals that were discussed at the budget workshops and our meeting in December. Now, since this discussion of this report in December, we have been told that the sauna facility at North Harts Leisure Centre has had to be closed due to health and safety concerns. This is currently in the capital programme for 23-24 at 250,000. We've been having discussions with Stevenage Leisure about how to get the facility open again, but also about the costs involved. They have done some work looking at a smaller area being used for the sauna, which would reflect the level of usage and also free up some more space for other activities, e.g. hosting children's parties. This would reduce the capital bid to 150,000. Subject to our approval, I would like to add an additional recommendation to the report that the capital allocation for the North Harts Leisure Centre sauna steam refurbishment be reduced to 150,000 and brought forward to 22-23 in the draft budget report to Council in February, and that the Council approve bringing forward the 150,000 capital allocation for North Harts Leisure Centre sauna steam refurbishment forward to 21-22. That second part will give the opportunity for the work to start before the 1st of April if a suitable contractor can be engaged. Councillor Jarvis might wish obviously to comment more specifically around that proposed amendment. With the capital proposals before us, the council will need to borrow from 25-26, and the report therefore sets out a borrowing and minimum revenue provision policy. On the Treasury side of the report, paragraph 8.9 sets out some minor changes to how we will invest our money. the option for the council to invest in long-term funds remains as part of the strategy, but will not be progressed at this stage for the reasons set out in paragraph 8.10. So with those comments, Chair, I'd like to move the recommendations as amended, obviously with those amendment in relation to the North Herts Leisure Centre sauna steam refurbishment.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Hey, lovely. And does Councillor Jarvis have anything to add?
Yes, I think the process and the steps that the Councillor Albert has set out are sensible. Clearly, we are in the process of trying to encourage people to return to the leisure centres. We are doing better than we had forecast in that respect, or at least we were until late last year. It remains to be seen what the impact of the additional restrictions in some areas over Christmas will be. But it's important that we get people back into the leisure centres if we're going to see them used to the extent that they were formerly. And from that point of view, we don't want anything that will discourage people from using them and persuade them to seek out somewhere else to go. So I'm keen that we should get this facility back in operation as fast as we can. And I think that the mechanism that Councillor Albert has set out will achieve that as fast as we can, and will also actually save some money compared with the expected expenditure, since the advantage has been taken to reconfigure the area to better suit the current usage.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or queries about this item? No. Okay, so we have the two recommendations in the report. The Cabinet recommend to Council the adoption of the investment strategy at Appendix A, including the capital programme and prudential indicators, and the Cabinet recommend to Council the adoption of the 4 clauses in relation to the Code of Practice on Treasury Management. And then Councillor Alberts added a third recommendation to that in respect of the steam room and sauna. Could you repeat sort of your wording again, just so that we have that for the record?
Yeah, sure.
Hang on.
Sure. So that the additional recommendations is that the capital allocation for the North Herts Leisure Centre sauna steam refurbished be reduced to 150,000 and brought forward to 22-23 in the draft budget report to Council in February. And then the further one is that Council approved bringing forward the 150,000 capital allocation for the North Herts Leisure Centre sauna steam refurbishment forward to 21-22.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. I'm assuming James and Louis picked that up. Excellent. In that case, could we move to the vote, please?
Chair, that motion is carried.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And back to Councillor Albert for the revenue budget 2022 to 2023, including any commentary on the referral from FAR.
Cheers. Thanks, Chair. And in terms of the referral file, there weren't any specific comments or questions that weren't answered at the meeting. I think that would be sufficient to deal with that referral. But obviously, thank FAR for their considerations of both this item and indeed the previous one on the investment strategy. Obviously, their advice and considerations is always very helpful. The report sets out the revenue proposals that were discussed at the budget workshops and our meeting in December. And I certainly intend to be fairly brief this evening, Chair, but I can't promise that same brevity when it comes to the next meeting. Paragraphs 8.1 to 8.6 summarise the main points. The rest of the report then sets out the various things that we have to consider in determining and setting a balanced budget over the medium term. And medium-term funding remains uncertain, but we are hoping for more certainty during the early part of the year, and will continue to hope that it's also positive in terms of the overall amount. As set out in 8.32, based on current forecasts, we will need to identify and deliver around 1.5 million of additional net savings. Having said that, I think this budget, actually, we have made significant progress in helping to set the base for delivering those savings, and indeed making savings in 22-23 as part of the budget process and the budget workshops. Paragraph 8.21 sets out the budget allowance that we're making in 22-23 and 23-24 for the impacts of COVID-19, with no funding from government to support us. This potentially totals over 2.5 million across the 2 years, and is in addition to a net impact of around £3 million across this year and last year, and actually makes clear is that the promise of government to actually fully support councils has not been delivered. Paragraph 8.29 refers to the SIP for Resilience Index. The Service Director of Resources has informed me that a pre-release version was made available to Chief Finance Officers yesterday, with a public version available by the end of the week. The Service Director has confirmed that there is nothing in there that would lead him to question the reliability of the estimates or the budget, and he'll be providing an addendum to the council report to provide more details on what that index shows. I think in conclusion, Chair, I think it's worth saying that I believe that this joint administration has been an agent for change, making change happen across North Arts, engaging with our communities and standing up for our district. This budget will help deliver our progressive council plan and the vital services for residents, and indeed help deliver our climate change agenda. This budget will continue to restore the damage done to vital services by the previous Conservative administration. And indeed, it will help protect our services like swimming pools from the losses faced from the pandemic. Now, we would rather not to actually propose an increase in council tax, but it's absolutely clear from the government settlement that all councils are expected, by the nature of that settlement, of being forced to increase their council tax. But what I can say is, and I think this is a positive for this council, at an increase of less than 10p a week increase on our council tax, it's far less than the £1.12 a week increase by Conservative controlled Hertfordshire County Council, and indeed the 20 pence a week that the Conservative Police Commissioner is proposing as their share of additional council tax. This joint administration will always spend our residents' money wisely and tax fairly. And on that basis, Chair, I'd like to move the recommendations in this report and those recommend taking this budget to full council.
Thank you very much, Councillor Albert. Goodness me, it's almost as if you're trying to send a message with that speech, isn't it? Right, so firstly, do I have a seconder for this item? Happy to second, reserve my right to speak. Thank you very much. And does anyone have anything to say on the revenue budget report presented this evening? Yes, Councillor Jarvis.
Well, we did promise the petitioner at last week's council meeting that we would consider their request that we should open the open air pools for 6 months each year, and that we would consider that as part of the budget process. So it's probably appropriate for me to say something about that at this point.
We absolutely did make that promise, and that's what I referred to at the top of this meeting when I said there was no other business, and shouldn't there have been some. Councillor Albert, have you had time in the very brief space of time between council and cabinet to look into this item?
What I'm looking to do is to consider obviously what obviously the petitioner, and I think the very kind of important arguments that the petitioner made at the last meeting. I think it would be sensible for myself and Councillor Jarvis to have a further discussion with officers in advance of the full council meeting, and we can confirm at that meeting whether we have any further additions or amendments to the budget proposal in front of you. But there wasn't time to bring that to this meeting this evening. It does need some further work, but we're happy to undertake to do that. And obviously we can do a further report as part of my contribution, and did obviously Councillor Jarvis' contribution at the budget meeting in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you very much. I am mindful, of course, that it is only 3 full working days since we heard that request. So I do have a lot of sympathy for Councillor Albert and Councillor Jarvis and staff in those relevant areas trying to get something ready for tonight. Councillor Jarvis, did you have anything further on this?
Well, I'm quite happy that we deal with it in that way. I mean, clearly there is a potentially significant financial impact, so it's something that would need to be considered as part of the budget. But I think there's also a need to explain the work that's been done to assess what that impact would be, and the work that's been done to look at ways in which that impact might be reduced. Although I'm afraid that in the short term that hasn't produced a lot of reduction. But I'm happy that we deal with that in more detail at the full council meeting.
Excellent. I shall leave you two to take that offline and work together and hopefully present something to us that explains clearly the position taken at full council. So any more questions, queries, discussion, debate? We're saving it all for February, are we? Oh yes, says Councillor Billing. Oh yes. Excellent. In that case, there are no additional recommendations to those that are drafted in the report. I shan't read them all out because I think that you're all quite capable of reading them and understanding what you're voting for. There's quite a few, but I'm happy to take them all together if colleagues are. Yes, how lovely. Let's move to the vote then, please, James.
Thanks, Chair. That motion's carried.
It's because I know you so well. Right. Thank you very much. Okay, then. Next, item 10 is the exclusion of press and public. I propose that under section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972, the press and public be excluded from the meeting on the grounds that the following report will involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraphs 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of the said act as amended. Can I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Do we have a debate on moving into part 2? No. Excellent. Can I have the vote, please, James?
Chair, that motion's carried.
Okay, lovely. Can I ask officers to move us into the relevant part, please?